Okay, ladies and gents, welcome back to the RC Fugly build. This is a model that's been produced by Skip Model Designs, as you can see there. Today I want to move on to making the elevators and the rudder and show you how those go together. But before we do that, I'd just like to have a recap on the fuselage so far. If I move over, you can see now that the fuselage is pretty well complete. It's 90% there. In the last video we discussed how to attach the rudder and elevator posts. Since then we have now planked the top surface of the fuselage and also the bottom surface of the fuselage. All that requires is a little bit of finishing. If I can get in, obviously this edge needs sanding back to the fuselage sides and also a nice radius sanded onto the corners of the model. That's obviously top and bottom. If I come to the front, you can see that I've completed the top hatch. This was a build-up of several parts. If I turn it over, you can see it's been planked with 3 planks, and also there's some plywood pieces underneath that are glued in there for support. Obviously when that was put together, when that was glued, it was just a square shape, and we had to sand these radiuses on the edge. I'll put that down, it's easier. Sand this radius on the edge, which isn't complete yet. It's nearly there. It just needs a bit of a tickle with some sandpaper. Also, we have now finished the bottom, like the chin piece of the fuselage. This was made up of about 8 pieces. You can just see the lines there that were glued together into a square block. This piece is actually glued onto the model, so it is fixed, but I decided to rough out the shape first with it off the model, just to make it easier to handle. The quickest way I've found to produce a part like this, you might have to do this in the future, like making spats and things like this, where it does require a little bit of sanding and a bit of fettling to get your required shape. This is the material that come off this part. You can see it's quite a bit of chippings there, and I found the quickest way to rough that shape out is not use a sanding block, which would create absolute mountains of dust in the workshop, which I really don't want. But I bought a razor plane. Very simple tool, only cost about £8, dirt cheap. It takes standard razor blades, and it's superb at cutting balsa wood, and great for roughing out parts, just leaving a little bit to tickle off with your sandpaper to give the finished shape. So that will be done at a later stage. I've also made the bottom battery hatch. It was only a 10-minute job by gluing on these plywood burnouts. I just cyanoed those on, install the hatch magnet there where my thumb is, and that just fits onto the underside of the model there. You can see I actually made a mistake when gluing in this part. I actually glued it in upside down, so I've had to take that out and re-site that. So that was an error on my behalf, but that obviously just slots in there and then it shuts nicely, and obviously the magnet holds it shut. Again, it just needs a running over with some sandpaper all over the model, nice radius on the edge down the back end, and just tidying up, where the glue seep through, things like this. Obviously we'll sand all that up before we get to the covering stage. This is the cheek bit which will be glued on there. You can see that I roughed it out, but obviously that was square, so it's quite a bit of material to come off. Like I say, do that off the model, just so you don't get knocking the airframe about. Get it somewhere close, glue it into position, and then just give it the final sanding over to get the required shape. So that's quite a simple job. Takes probably 15-20 minutes to do, but that's about it. Again, another little assembly. These are your servos that go into the wing for your ailerons. You know, the servo mountings there have been glued on. Again, just glued them on with Sino through the tabs. Absolute perfect fit, which is a good thing with these burnout kits, these laser cut kits, that everything fits really good. So now moving on to the elevators, you can see this is just a very simple assembly. Obviously that's a framework. Really clear instructions there. Cautionary notes here, and that shows the finish article when it's put together, with the symbols here to tell you what glue to use, etc. If I flip over the page, you can see the rudder assembly. Basically the same sort of thing, it all just locks together. The thing is with this, you really need a nice flat building surface now. If I can just drop that box out of the way. I'm lucky enough to use a magnetic building board, which is simply a sheet steel piece that's galvanized so it doesn't go rusty. I've got these magnetic blocks here. We've got 45-degree angle. We've got a 90-degree square angle there. Obviously the magnet in the bottom, that drops on. You'll see how this all comes into play when we start building the wing up, which we're not far away from doing now. So that's about it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video so far, please like and subscribe to the channel. And the next video will be, obviously we'll have the rudder and elevator assembled. That'll all be ready to go, and we'll be moving on to assembling the wing.